Right, so hello and welcome back to another 90 Day Fiancé video on Arthur TV. Today we're back for part 3 of 41-year-old Danielle and her 26-year-old Tunisian fiancé Mohamed. So last time out, Mohamed found out about Danielle's financial problems. After his phone got shut off due to unpaid bills, he confronted Danielle, who confessed that she had been hiding money issues from him because she was scared that if he found out, he would leave her. He told her that he would only leave if she continued to be dishonest about them, and moving forward, the pair agreed to cut costs on the wedding to make sure that they would be able to manage. However, 2 weeks later, Danielle's financial situation suffered a devastating blow as she found out that she had lost her job as a carer, leaving Mohamed wondering whether he even wanted to marry her. Well, despite their troubles, Mohamed and Danielle stayed together for the final few weeks of his K1 visa, and they've just about come up with enough money to pay for the wedding and the green card. A lot of Mohamed's concerns, however, haven't gone away, so at 9:35 AM on the day of his wedding, he's going to see a lawyer to figure out if marrying Danielle is the right decision.
After this long period now, and we still have the same problems, I wasn't sure that the wedding will happen. In my country, if I do something bad, it don't affect the wife. But here is different. If Daniel do something bad, it will affect me. So I need to go to someone to explain me what's gonna happen if I get married.
With Danielle still behind on bills and racking up debt, Mohamed basically wants to figure out that marrying Danielle won't financially burden him for years to come. His concerns definitely aren't unreasonable, but the morning of his wedding is kind of an odd time to figure it all out. He's had almost 90 days in the US without a job, so he's had a lot of free time. He found out about her financial situation 40 days ago, and she lost her job over 23 days ago. But better late than never, I guess.
I want to know how long time it will take till I have that, I don't know how to say it, the green card.
Now sometimes it could be a few months or 8 months, 10 months, a year. It just depends.
But I don't know why it takes so long time.
There's a lot of fraud, and the immigration folks are concerned about that.
They're gonna catch on to him, aren't they? I love how he's like, I don't know how you say green card, like it hasn't been the only word on his mind since the day he first messaged Danielle. Poor guy as well, like a year is a long time to have to put up with Danielle for, especially if he's not that into her. Which, let's be honest, he definitely doesn't seem to be. If someone told me I had to put up with Danielle for a year, I'd be ringing the immigration office myself. Also, on a side note, what is with the absolute state of that lawyer? It looks like they've just grabbed a randomer from a nearby comic book store, told him to put on a suit and read a script for the drama. What an absolute scruff.
When he was telling me all that information, I felt like getting married here in the States is not something easy. And I start understanding why people, they don't get married here.
To be fair, it's not really supposed to be a quick and easy process. It is supposed to be one of the biggest decisions of your life. I mean, it's a big responsibility that comes with a lot of rights and responsibilities, and it's clear that neither Danielle nor Mohamed have really thought about that much up until now. Mohamed also asked the lawyer about the consequences of him marrying Danielle, given she has a lot of unpaid debts and overdue bills, and he was told that it could mean that he ends up getting stuck with long-term financial obligations.
Nobody told me that before, because I don't know it. So now I will be responsible for anything she do it after we get married.
Essentially, you ultimately could be held responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You have any other questions for me?
No, you make me think about getting married now, because it's not easy.
It gets worse for Mohamed as well. That 1 year wait for a green card could just be the start of it all. Because they haven't been married for 2 years, he can only apply for conditional residence, which is essentially just a 2-year green card. If in 2 years he wants to apply for permanent residence, immigration services are going to have to review his application again. Only real valid marriages qualify for a green card, and although they accept that some marriages do break down and give green cards to people who have been divorced, if he leaves Danielle shortly after getting his first green card, it's going to cast some serious doubts over the legitimacy of their relationship. So he might actually end up having to stick with her for at least 2 years if he wants to be sure he gets that green card.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't a good news. I'm between two terrible choices. There is something telling me you have to get married as soon as possible, and other things telling me no, don't get married now. So I feel like I'm lost. I don't know what I do.
It's actually so sad that it's his wedding day and he feels like marrying his fiancée is one of two terrible decisions he's stuck between. It's not even that surprising that going back to Tunisia is looking like a better and better option. Danielle literally lied to him for months about her financial situation, and now he's faced with the prospect of having to live with her for years, as well as all of the debt and uncertainty that comes with it. I'm actually starting to feel really bad for him. He's come to America for a better life and has somehow ended up worse off.
After I went to the lawyer and I came here, I thought that I'm leaving. I'm gonna go back to my country.
واصلا يعني من اول ما كنت حابب اجي على امريكا، فهمت كيف؟
Danielle is not good in financial stuff, so I'm worried that she won't change, because there's a lot of things that she promised but she never did.
I wonder what he meant by he didn't want to come to America. Because their relationship started on Messenger months before we were introduced to them, we only really ended up hearing a summary of the whole thing. So if he wanted to stay and live in Tunisia, I wonder if he asked Danielle to move with him. Obviously, I don't think she ever would have packed up and moved, especially given she's got 3 teenage daughters who live at home with her, but I wonder if it was ever even floated as an idea. Although maybe he just meant that he knew that this whole thing was a bad idea from the start. Either way, he's definitely regretting it now, isn't he?
The girls are worried that he's going to leave, and so am I. People's rearranged their day just to come and be here with us today.
You know what's mad? In this entire process, this is literally the first time she's voiced any kind of concern for her daughters. I mean, firstly, she brought a strange man into their home where they all sleep, which is pretty weird in of itself. Second, she took on the huge financial responsibility of bringing him to the US and supporting him until he gets his visa, which, given she knew she already had money problems and all 3 of her daughters are still financially dependent on her, is incredibly irresponsible. And only now that she's let them get attached to someone she introduced way too early into the relationship is she worried that they're going to be distraught when he leaves. There are actually few things sadder than a parent prioritizing their new relationship over their own children, and it happens all too frequently.
This is a bigger decision than coming to America. I went to the lawyer now. Did you hear that?
It's not fair what you're doing. Waiting till the day of the wedding to decide.
So what do you want now?
Keeping my girls wondering if you're gonna be here and keeping me wondering.
Alright, this is very melodramatic, and Danielle is definitely a big overreactor, but I think she's justified in crying here. I mean, imagine getting engaged and on the day of your wedding your partner leaves to try and figure out if they still want to marry you. Imagine how you'd feel the entire time they were gone. Also, they could come back and literally just say no, and you'd have to tell all of your friends and family to go home because you got pied on the biggest day of your life. It would be mortifying. Danielle would literally have to add a 3rd L to her name after that one.
So, what did you decide?
If you want me to trust you, it's just being careful about the money.
After today, I will discuss money with you. Mohamed, yes or no?
It's yes. And hopefully you do what you promised me.
You know, a lot of people accuse Danielle of fake crying, and I'm not saying she was doing it just then, but she did stop crying the second they went behind closed doors. Either way, what a sad conversation to have on your wedding day. Money just feels like such a dirty topic to have to admit has a bearing on whether you want to get married to someone or not. Like, even though it is justified here, it just makes the whole relationship look so materialistic and ingenuine. And the entire fallout and uncertainty of it all is such a depressing way to start the day.
We are going to get married today.
I wasn't gonna come home if you didn't, so I was just gonna stay with my friends.
The girls are happy now that they know that there's actually going to be a wedding.
I need to give Danielle one more chance. The reason that I stay here to help her with her girls. These people need me.
They're going in the wrong way. They need me.
Alright, this is sweet, but why is he talking like he's Tunisia's answer to Super Nanny? Him on the plane to JFK like...
You guys are in a crisis. I'm on my way.
On a side note, it's nice to see the girls happy with the decision. I really didn't think they'd approve of Mohamed at first, but they seem to really like him. I mean, from what we've seen so far, he is a pretty likeable guy, so I'm not hugely surprised. They're also only teenagers, so there's probably a hint of innocent naivety behind that. They probably just see him looking after their mum and being nice to them, without really thinking about whether there's any ulterior motives. The older family members, however, aren't quite so naive, and he definitely hasn't won all of them over in the 90 days.
Are you 100% sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Because it's a whole heck of a lot more money to get divorced.
Yes, I'm sure.
When it falls apart, it's gonna be a lot more money than what it is now. I've said as much as I can say to her about it, and I just wish she would listen.
That is so rough, coming from her own sister as well. I feel like whatever feelings you have towards the relationship, once they've decided that they're definitely going to get married, I think you should just respect that. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's definitely right, and I don't think I'd be able to stop myself doing the same if it was my sister, but I just don't think Danielle's going to change her mind by this point, so she might as well just let her enjoy the wedding. Especially given she was with the father of her children for 22 years and they never got married. She's probably been dreaming of this day for decades. It's probably the one day that she'll get to feel hyped up and feel like the spotlight's on her and that she looks amazing and that everything's perfect, despite the reality of it all.
Hi. Danielle is a little bit late to the wedding. I felt pressure with people standing looking at me.
I just think that 90 days is not enough time to decide who you want to spend the rest of your life with. I think statistically, the chances of this lasting is 0. This is going to be a disaster.
Again, it's so harsh, but she's just not wrong, is she? I mean, I don't know what else she's supposed to do, because I'm assuming the producers asked her the question, and she is just being honest. But imagine being Danielle and watching this back, and seeing your best friend on your wedding day say there's literally 0 chance there's going to be a happy ending, and that it's all going to end in disaster. Even if she knows it herself, or it's already ended in disaster by the time she sees it, that's gonna hurt. Well, thankfully for them at least, Mohamed and Danielle finally made it to the wedding. And with their family and close friends around, many of whom were dressed for a car boot sale, they finally got officially married.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Ohio, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride.
I want to tell something about kissing that I'm not allowed to kiss in this time.
She can kiss you though. Can she on the cheek? Ah, there we go.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Mohamed Jabali.
Oh my goodness, why they didn't just tell the priest beforehand that they couldn't kiss is beyond me. It's just such a perfect summary of their entire relationship, isn't it? Rushed, bumpy and awkward. Mohamed basically went on to say that he couldn't kiss Danielle because it was Ramadan. Now, the theology of whether that's correct or not aside, a lot of people had started to think by this point that Mohamed was kind of using these cultural and religious practices basically as an excuse to avoid being intimate with Danielle literally as much as possible. Like, although he doesn't eat bacon and doesn't eat meat that isn't halal, he also does drink beer and cohabitates with Danielle even though they're not married. So him not sharing a bed with her, not being intimate with her, and not kissing her on their wedding day just aroused a lot of suspicions. But even without that, I think you can tell by just looking at them when they're together that he's just not into her at all.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I hope the best.
There was times that I thought we weren't going to make it because of the finances and other people getting involved, but having Mohamed here is what got me through the last 90 days.
Yeah, give it up for Danielle and Mohamed.
I can't believe they actually got married. Do you see what I mean about the way they are when they're together, by the way? He couldn't even look at her. You'd expect a man on his wedding day to be looking at his wife like he was absolutely infatuated by her. But he looked like a child being forced to spend time with their nan. It was quite a cute ending, but unfortunately, Danielle spoke a little bit too soon. Because despite making it to their wedding day and officially getting married, their problems have only just begun. Their start to married life is about to take an absolute nosedive, but that is unfortunately all we have time for today. So if you want to make sure you catch the next part where things are taken to a whole new level, make sure you're subscribed down below so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to leave a like. And as always, the links to my Instagram, Twitter, and other social media will be down below. I'd also just like to give a really quick shout out to my Patreon supporters who support me and the channel over on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.